On this episode, we talk about Bray Wyatt's magical powers, Randy Orton's injury, Divas Title contention, WWE Breaking Ground, 2K16 update, and tons more right now on Byte That. Hey gang, what's going on? You're listening to episode 115 of Byte That's weekly wrestling podcast, the place where we sit down, we put on a microphone, headphones, all the technology, and talk about WWE and maybe the rest of professional wrestling. Thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. Remember, we are available every single Tuesday on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, ByteThat.com, and of course for this and tons more, including WWE 2K16 footage, a ton of awesome things happening over at youtube.com/ByteThatCast. My name is Juan Velez. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And as always, I'm joined by a lovely panel of guests that are here. They just won't go away.
Are we guests? We've been here 100 and, well, me about 100 times.
Well, isn't there a saying that you're always a guest at your own home, or did I just make that up? It seems like that's a saying. I've heard that at some point in my life. Yeah.
I
Maybe
like
it's
to
not
look
real.
at myself as lead sports entertainment analyst of the Byte That podcast.
What's Keith?
He's
I'm
the
just
senior.
here.
He is the senior kayfabe correspondent.
I like that. Senior
Wow.
kayfabe correspondent.
Well, he's the finance general manager, so I guess close enough. But anyway, from Boston, you guys heard him. Ryan McNulty. Ryan, speak your voice so people can associate.
Hello, my name is Ryan. This is my voice.
And then the other guy, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Keith Poshik.
Hello, my name is Ryan, and this is my voice.
You know, this is
No, don't do that. Sometimes some people actually can't tell us apart.
Yeah,
I know,
that
right?
is exactly why I'm doing this right now. So I've known you guys for 11 years, so your voices are very unique to me. But then apparently there's this thing where a lot of people, and it's not been one or two or even five, it's been a little bit more, that can't make out your voices. So how do you feel about that? It's like you guys are one and the same. Almost.
I know, like you said, Juan, I've known Ryan for basically half my life almost at this point, and I can tell the difference between us. So it's completely...
Hopefully.
Yeah, I know, right? Wouldn't want to be in those shoes. But it's just weird that people can't tell us apart. It's
Literally the only way I
sense.
can tell our voices apart is if I know that I'm not moving my mouth speaking words.
Oh.
Otherwise,
I'm just a Hispanic
it's
guy in
completely
here, so...
indistinguishable.
Yeah, see, I don't have that issue. My skin tone's different.
Guys, here's the key. Just listen.
What?
If you hear the boots and the A's, then you know that it's Keith.
Yeah, and if before they talk you hear, you know it's Ryan.
Oh, shots fired. Shots fired. Okay, I like this. So we're coming off of Halloween. How was your guys' weekend?
Good. Drank way too much alcohol. Went to a nice little Halloween social.
Nice.
Went as Bubbles from the Trailer Park Boys, if you know who that is. And yeah, it was a good time.
And Keith can do a hell of an impression of that too.
Goddamn rights I can. Let's see you do this, Ryan McNulty.
See, you sounded different from Ryan. Maybe you got to do that voice from now on.
Maybe I should just do Bubbles from now on.
Maybe not.
Hey
Maybe,
guys,
no.
let's talk about professional effing wrestling, why don't we?
Oh, please no. What about you, Rhino?
Yeah, I had a good Halloween. Went to a nice little party, and I was Netflix and chill. You know, I had a little T-shirt that said Netflix on it and a fake bag of ice. So it was pretty clever and very cheap.
Awesome. In my case, a couple of people saw me. I was dressed as Finn Balor, although I went really far. Exactly where I'm sitting right now. I was part of a 12-hour Extra Life marathon, so everybody was dressed up. I was dressed up as Finn Balor, really expensive $3 face paint. So that was a good time, and I have some more announcements about that some people know.
Did you
It's
do
going to
the
be
face
happening
paint
pretty
yourself?
soon. Yeah, I did most of it, and then Nicole just did the basically the outlines to make sure that it didn't just seem random.
Oh, okay.
But I was really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah,
A lot of
it
people
Yeah,
liked
very
it
it.
well
looked
done.
great. Yeah.
$3 face paint. Finn Balor, he talks about people having to spend a lot of money on his face paint, man.
Yeah.
I just spent $3 at Walmart.
I went and bought a $3 button up and $5 corduroys for my costume, and my costume costs more than your costume, and yours is way better than mine.
We got to do the costume cast next year. or something. Something's got to happen. But
Yeah.
getting to wrestling, I'm actually pretty happy. We're having a good time. And based on the agenda, the power of positivity is going to be taking over the show again 2 weeks in a row.
Woo! Isn't it a great thing when Raw is not the worst thing ever? You know what I mean? Like, there's actually nice things to talk about this week. It was a
It's true. When you actually
better than bad
watch
episode.
it and you don't question why you're watching it, you can actually enjoy most of it.
Yeah, I was actually watching with
Let's
Keith
not
last
go
night.
that far.
Yeah, but you know, one thing that kind of sucks is that daylight savings changed, so now everything is 1 hour late for me. So Ross used to start at 8. It starts at 9 for me. We record.
So it's the perfect time to bring back the Raw reception, folks.
Yeah, let's not even bring that up. For those that don't know, it was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Then.
You know, you can blame Puerto Rico, though. Me and Keith, you know, it's still the same time for us, you know.
We're too lazy to change back here.
We respect daylight savings and all those farmers that decided to do it.
Bum, 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 bum. Okay. So let's get to, Raw, wrestling. Well, if you can call it wrestling, because the first topic here is Bray Wyatt. So we brought this up last week.
No, this is magic. That's what this is.
It's going to be a magical segment. We had The Undertaker at Hell in a Cell, was kidnapped by Bray Wyatt, which I am pretty sure is illegal and should not be allowed. And then now he goes and kidnaps more people. He kidnapped Kane.
As senior kayfabe coordinator, sir, I say you need to take that jib-jab, that lingo, and talk about legalities and stuff, and you need to throw that right out the window, sir.
Putting your title to good use.
Yes,
no
I
educated feet, though. Okay, so Bray Wyatt. Ryan, you mentioned last week that you were super happy. We agreed that Bray Wyatt needs to do some more supernatural, unhuman type stuff, that even though it's ridiculous, that's part of the appeal about Bray Wyatt in wrestling is general. Now that we got to see a literal showcase of powers on Raw, what do you think about that?
All right, so some of it was pretty damn cheesy, but you know what? I loved every second of it because it's kind of adding to some mythology to this whole thing in Bray Wyatt. And it's not just speaking words of, hey, I'm absorbing the souls of The Undertaker and Kane. He's actually kind of displaying it, even if it is just a bunch of pyrotechnics and like animated gifs of lightning bolts hitting the turnbuckles. Like, they have the lightning pyros. Are you that cheap? Like, that was the only thing that looked kind of bad. Because we've seen Undertaker
are bad.
We've seen Undertaker with the cool lightning bolts. You can't give him one. Like, come on.
Well, he's not at full power yet, you know?
It's true.
You didn't go from like normal cell to perfect cell in one fell swoop. You needed that middle cell where he only had the one android inside his body.
He's absorbed Undertaker and Kane. He should be in perfect form right now. But he could end up being more like Majin Buu, and he just absorbs the entire roster and keeps getting stronger. He's going to turn Mark Henry into a cookie and eat him or something.
Oh, thank God you didn't say chocolate.
A sexual chocolate cookie.
Oh, I want that. Yeah, I really liked it. I think it was it you that tweeted at Keith that this was the best kind of dumb wrestling or something like that?
Yeah, I am a advocate of, like, okay, wrestling shouldn't be this super serious show. There should be a hint of stupid in wrestling, that disbelief from reality, because it is a staged product that I personally don't think should be taken that seriously. And this is perfectly on that line of, there is a man that is sucking the soul and the power out of this mystical being and absorbing them, and now he's going to take it and destroy the world. Like, that is the perfect amount of stupid for wrestling. Oh, it's so good. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's like, if we have to take a little bit of stupid to get a lot of good storytelling, it's 100% worth it.
Yeah, and I know that I'm the guy on the show that usually goes, they got to do more realistic stuff and all that. But if you're going to do a character like Bray Wyatt that's supposed to be, supernatural, then go all out.
Yeah,
make it as ridiculous as you want. Because then otherwise, just don't do it. Otherwise, it's just a fat guy with a nice hat. Because that would really be the character.
Just a neckbeard fedora.
Yeah, and now look at this.
Now we have character development, milady.
And now, the situation here is that going into Survivor Series, we're definitely getting a Team Wyatt versus Team Taker, Team Deadman, Team Brothers of Destruction, whatever it may be. The Wyatt syndrome, where this is probably the strongest his character has ever been. Realistically, like completely not joking here. But then what do you think is going to happen come Survivor Series? Is there a chance that Bray goes up here and manages to stay like that?
I think because it's not at WrestleMania, there's a chance that might actually happen where I know we're a broken record, but he just needs that one win, and this could be the win, and it could like really elevate Bray and kind of like forgive the sins of the past as far as his character goes.
Yeah, I kind of look at this as like almost a reset button, because they can use this whole like soul absorbing thing as just a way to all of a sudden Bray Wyatt is just squashing people. You know what I mean? They can have it like he's literally more powerful, and you can even go into this Survivor Series match with like Taker and Kane kind of suck because their souls like are absorbed or something, so they're not good anymore and they just get wrecked.
Exactly. They have a perfect kayfabe out for why Bray Wyatt would beat The Undertaker.
Now, one of the things we've always brought up is that Bray Wyatt's motivation is more attacks towards people, not necessarily a feud or something. It's more just hatred. Let's say, hypothetically, he goes into Survivor Series, and we're getting into... This is what usually happens at the end of the show. We get a lot of questions. Who's going to be the next guy to challenge for the title or something like that? Is there any chance that between now and WrestleMania, if this keeps progressing, we could see some kind of feud between Bray Wyatt and Rollins for the championship? Because I could see that. Maybe Rollins is a tweener or something. Because let's face facts, Rollins is not a heel right now, especially with some of the things that happened on Raw. And I think that they could have a temporary thing where he's babyface and then maybe Bray Wyatt's the guy trying to take over the show.
Well, the thing is, I don't think they want to make Bray Wyatt champion anytime soon. So I feel like it's best if you want to keep him winning, especially if he beats like Team Undertaker, then maybe it's best to keep him away from the title just so he can actually keep winning matches.
Agreed. Maybe put him in something like the Rusev spot from last year, where he's just a guy that just runs through the entire mid card, and then keep him away from the title
afterwards.
Yeah, well, hey, that's what happens in the
Sister Abigail, man.
Yeah, what happens in the swamp stays in the swamp, if you know what I mean. But just have him and the Wyatt family run through the card for the better part of a year, and then have somebody build him up and take him down.
I just randomly thought, Bray Wyatt getting that swamp ass. You know what I mean? It's a double entendre.
But yeah,
dirty.
I think they should keep Wyatt away from the title, because I think Bray Wyatt is a character that never needs to win the main title, and it would be totally okay.
No, I agree. I just hope that they don't take this power type stuff away. If they're going up there, because then what? And I know I'm maybe going a little too far down, but we've gone through this situation so much with Wyatt that I can't help but think about it.
You know, it would be great, and I would totally be okay with Wyatt losing, if in the middle of the match, The Undertaker or Kane pull out the urn, and they do some ridiculous spot where like they suck the power out of Wyatt, and then it goes into the urn or something like that.
They do some like Little Nicky type stuff.
Yeah, exactly, like a Little Nicky thing with their power.
Please don't give them ideas, man.
Oh, but it'd be so good.
But the second you said that, I totally see that happening.
I saw Bray Wyatt vanishing and turning into Bo Dallas or something. I kind of did. We need to switch topics right now before this actually happens. Guys.
Yes.
We've had amazing people return. We had Eric Rowan come back, and I still can't get over that. I was watching Superstars last week, and this guy known as Jack Swagger was wrestling there. I forgot he was still in the company. I was not a huge fan of Swagger, but the matter is that he is on Raw and had a segment with Zeb Coulter and ADR, and I think it was cool that they were actually bringing up the past, something that didn't need a lot of context. We just heard Jack Swagger's voice, and they immediately started doing the whole thing with Zeb Coulter, the accusations about this whole Mex America thing that we didn't get to too much. do you guys think there's a possibility that Zeb Coulter is he's in denial of what he's doing with his character right now with Alberto Del Rio?
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week, the whole Zeb Coulter Mex America thing makes no sense. But then at least when you have Swagger coming in and being like, what the heck are you doing? This is against everything you stood for. It's at least kind of acknowledging the past and being like, yeah, everything that Zeb believes doesn't really make any sense, but at least we're acknowledging it.
Yeah, they're aware of it, which is a nice change. So, but doesn't that almost make things more intriguing for us? Because they're throwing that out there.
It does, but it doesn't, because you would think that this probably leads to an Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger feud, which is something that we've seen before in a very large capacity. So
come on, the WWE universe has been clamoring for this matchup.
Hashtag one more match, Keith.
What does Christian have to do with this?
No, nothing, but now it's Jack Swagger, which, by the way, didn't he look kind of badass on Raw?
I actually thought he looked cool with the beard and the leather jacket.
Leather jacket did Swagger some good.
Maybe it's time for just a change. Because I think one of the issues, just talking about Swagger for a minute or two, because I know there's that one huge fan of him that listens to the show, is that one of the issues I think that always happened with him was that he started in ECW as this guy who only smiled. For those that don't remember that, his character was look at my smile. And then he became the wrestler guy, but then never really changed much. So his outfit was always the same still, and I think maybe that change could definitely help.
Plus, at the same time, to go even in more recent history, he's his own worst enemy, where he had the world by the balls. He won an Elimination Chamber match and was going for the title at WrestleMania, and then he made a career-altering mistake behind the scenes. So who knows if he's even going to get another chance, or if he does, if that will happen just over again.
So Jack Swagger could potentially be the next number one contender to the Mex America Championship. And
number
Ryan,
one contender?
Number one contender.
Number
Let's
one
get to
contender?
some divas. Let's get to some divas number one contenders action.
Number one contender.
Not number 4, although there was a fatal 4-way, so close enough, kind of. I guess.
How do you say number one contender in Spanish?
Primer contendiente.
All right, so let's talk about number one contender.
Así que vamos, el primer contendiente por el título de las divas va a ser... sorry, program got stuck there. Yeah, number one contender for the Divas Championship. The guys are just looking at me all confused here. I didn't say anything bad about you. So there was a fatal 4-way match on Raw to crown a number one contender,
Number one contender.
For the Divas Championship. Which, it's funny how we went from complaining about all this to now it's like everybody gets a shot now. Like, we have legitimate matches to establish legitimate contenders, and Paige won this. We had everybody from Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks. We had, of course, the person that won Paige, but it was a fatal. Yeah, Brie. I still cringe.
We got to
really
hear
hard.
the theme.
I marked out for that. I did. Keith knows that I sung the theme.
I actually kind of marked out for it too, because she's been coming out with Nikki Bella so much that it's been a while since we've heard that theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's talk about the winner, I guess. So Paige is once again involved in the title picture, people. They definitely want Sasha Banks to be number one contender. I want her to be number one contender. Number one contender, not number 5. Do you guys like the fact that we're getting this feud where Paige is still implying, like, I'm the person, and this is her house, which... But that is a huge house that can seat over 15,000 people. So
I know.
She's got some dough.
Like, seriously, how does she keep it furnished? That must be no small feat.
That electricity bill with the pyro from Bray Wyatt, damn.
I know, right? But I think it makes sense that Paige won. I know that there's the whole thing about, Sasha should win, but that time will come. We'll get there. There's a storyline reason why Paige won that match. It was a really solid match. I don't think anybody. Yeah. Well, I can't say anybody did not look bad because, Brie Bella kind of. Yeah, how about that? But yeah, no, it was overall good match, and I'm actually looking forward to Paige versus Charlotte for the title. Yeah,
exactly. It was a pretty good match. Of course, sometimes with Fatal 4-Ways, there's some hiccups there, and obviously you gotta try and have it be only 2 people in the ring at the same time, so it's not just utter chaos. But overall, I thought it was a pretty darn good match. and nobody but Paige was going to win this match because, I mean, how weird would it be? Paige just starts beating the crap out of Charlotte, and they're like, oh yeah, but Sasha Banks is the number one contender, so forget about that other thing that happened. Yeah.
And that time will come.
It's cool. Instead of just Paige getting the title shot, it's not like, hey, I can beat somebody up and get a title shot. No, people actually have to earn them. What a crazy concept. So I liked it.
And something that reminded me why I like number one contender matches, pause, thank you, is that it reminds you of the crowd. Like, who do they like? Like, yeah, we sort of figured Paige would win, but it gave you another shot at, yeah, people are caring about Sasha, maybe they're not caring about somebody else, but it gives you a measuring stick regarding that, as opposed to just giving somebody the title shot and then, well, if people don't like that feud, well, then we'll just not care.
Wait for the next one.
2 random points. Point number 1, Becky Lynch needs to get rid of her leprechaun hat. Point number 2, Brie Bella doing the Daniel Bryan kicks just destroys my soul. Because the crowd does the yes chants because they so dearly miss Daniel Bryan, and it's the only way that they can just say, like, represent how much they miss him by doing the yes chants along with it. And we have to deal with those mediocre, subpar Brie Bella kicks.
Because they're not even
is
kicks.
Nice.
Yeah, she basically moves her legs. She moves her legs back and forth, but it's not. You don't see the intensity. She's just sort of. There's like a GIF online about that where Paige is taking one, and then people were complaining. Yeah, Paige also kind of no-sold that, but Brie's reactions are like, okay, kicks out of the way. What's next? Like, no, like get into it.
Legitimately is just lifting from his moveset to get crowd reactions, and the crowd misses Daniel Bryan so much that they go along with it.
Eat it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we will be seeing another match. It's nice though that they are slowly shying away from the team versus team matches and are noticeably going just more directly into the people. And that is what from day one we said, great. You have these people, you have these divas come up from NXT, do something with them as opposed to just having random tag matches because it gets everybody involved. Now getting to the main event of Raw, Survivor Series came early. It's supposed to be happening in 2 weeks, but apparently we got it last night. And we had this 5-on-5 elimination match. Team Rollins versus the opposing team, which included the return of the Usos, which Mr. Poshik, you called while we were watching on Raw. So good call on that.
Oh, me? Question mark?
Kind of, yeah. Usos are back. Just a quick comment. I know we've never been huge on them. I know, Ryan, you love their theme song. But generally
I like
speaking...
the Usos. I don't know what... Like, I read on Squared Circle, people hate on the Usos. Like, okay, maybe I get if they're not your favorite tag team because maybe they're not the most exciting characters. But when do they not have... I mean, when do they have bad matches? I thought they've always been solid, and they've had... When they used to fight Harper and Rowan, those would be awesome tag
great matches, yeah.
Yeah, you can't take away from their in-ring ability in the slightest, but it's just that they're so one-dimensional that it's, I think that's where they get a lot of flack.
Yeah, I think that them coming back now into the spotlight, people did react positively to the return, at least the live crowd. And I think that we do need to give them a shot. I'll be the first guy to admit that when they were tag champs, I didn't really care. But at the same time, it's a matter of, like, make us care about them. Like, they're a great talent. They had great matches with the Shield, with everybody. I mean, they were at a point where any tag team in there, throw the Usos. They're going to have a great match. And it always delivered. So
they actually
I'm looking forward to that.
stole the show at a couple pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But after that, it's like, then give them the spotlight. Don't just be like, they had a good match. Like, really do that. So hopefully here's their second or third chance. Because they've been in the company for a while now. It feels like they're still the new kids on the block. They've been there for a while. And then another guy that returned, Mr. Xavier Woods with the unicorn, the magic power. We had magic all throughout Raw, now that I think about it.
No, it's true. In that backstage segment with Rollins picking the New Day for the team, that I just love the New Day, and I know we always just gush about them all the time, but they are without a doubt, like, Big E might be my favorite wrestler in WWE right now.
Agreed. There's just so much to gush about. That's why we always do it. They're consistently the best part of the show.
Now, playing devil's advocate here, I myself love them too, so no complaints here. But with this unicorn thing that's happening, I have noticed a trend online, no Jason Trendset here, but a trend about people sort of not enjoying that too much and maybe going, yeah, they're going overboard. I have my assumptions. I have my ideas as to why they're doing this, but I want to get your feedback. Do you think that it's understandable why some people can be overwhelmed when their whole character is that they are these overwhelming, highly annoying people?
Yeah, I think it's fine because it kind of fits with just the ridiculousness of their character. I wonder if they bring in the unicorn thing because it kind of goes with the t-shirt and that's why it makes sense. I mean, you think back to Edge being the rated R superstar, he started calling himself that because they came up with a t-shirt first, and then he just kind of made it his thing. So I kind of look at it that way.
And absolutely, and over time, things do have to change a little bit, and I think the whole unicorn thing is just that. Like, if Xavier just came out with a trombone now until 2017, we'd get sick of it. So, things change over time, for the better.
Yeah. And I guess the thing I wanted to add is that they are still supposed to be a bad guy tag team. And I think people forget that. Like, we love them, but we have historically always liked heels. Like, we're not going to start hating on them because they do some things. We kind of like that. We like the bad people here in Byte that. But with them being more obnoxious, you do get a certain part of the crowd that will start to hate on them again because they're being so obnoxious. Like, now you got the unicorn now. I don't care about you. Like, that's the point. You're supposed to boo them because then otherwise they'll stop doing some of these things. At least that's my assumption about it. Now, getting to some follow-up details. So last week we did kind of bring up Randy Orton being out of action. WWE has since then released a statement indicating that he did suffer a dislocated shoulder. He's had chronic, I'm just going to quote here directly. He's had chronic problems with his shoulder, and a recent MRI that was done found he has a Bankart lesson in his shoulder, some stretched ligaments.
Is that what it is?
I don't know how to say that word, and this is where, like, English is my something happened in his shoulder.
He got an owie.
Yeah, and he has a partially torn rotator cuff. That was mentioned by Dr. Steve DeCino on WWE.com. Keep in mind, Randy Orton has had a history of shoulder injuries and surgeries and all that. That's why he does clotheslines a certain way. And apparently he's going to be out for a while. So it sucks. I know we've talked about this where Randy is just sort of part of the roster. It's never good to really hear when somebody, gets hurt like this. Mm-hmm. But on the positive part, maybe we just get a nice break from Randy. He comes back fresh, maybe different motives.
I mean, I said it the other week as well. Randy's at his best when he comes back. So maybe it's just onward and upwards from here. But at the same time, I was kind of thinking because of this, what's left for Randy Orton? Like, if he came back, what's left for him to do?
Yeah, Orton's in an interesting kind of spot where he started so early and has been so successful his entire career that, he's 35, 36, something like that, and he's already basically done everything. So
yeah,
the guy, I mean, he could retire and still probably be a Hall of Famer without question.
Absolutely.
It's pretty crazy. So, I mean, I don't blame the guy if he didn't want to come back, but it seems like, if he can keep going, keep making money, saving up for basically taking care of his family and everything, I'm sure that's what he has in mind. I'm sure he'll be back, but maybe he'll start to kind of go in more of like a, lesser role or, limited dates or something like that. But it's interesting with Orton and Cena out, you actually have to recognize that I think in that Survivor Series main event on Raw, like it was like all young guys, essentially. I mean, was Kofi Kingston like the veteran of that match?
I think so, yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, we've been saying it for a long time that we're going to hit that point where the guard changes. We're in a transitional period right now, and I think that main event match really showed that this is going to happen a lot sooner than we realize.
Yeah, and the great thing about it was that, it was basically all kind of this new generation of guys, and it was good. It felt good. It felt right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think some people forget, ourselves included, that Randy Orton and John Cena are at a very unique part of wrestling. Like when you think back Attitude Era, the Attitude Era was not as long as people make it out to be. People talk about it as if it was a decade that happened. It was only a couple of years. And when you look at Stone Cold's run, Stone Cold being at the top of the food chain was a very short-lived thing.
Yeah, it was like 3.5 years or something like that.
The Rock,
way
same thing.
Less than that. Stone Cold was basically like 98, and that was it.
I mean, if you want to count some of like when he came back from the neck surgery too, but he was not as much the face of the company at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when you look at guys like Randy and John Cena, it's not to say that they've overstayed their welcome, but they kind of have in the context of how long is somebody usually at the top in a wrestling ring or something like that, you know? And I think that now we really are seeing that. And I think that goes to show a lot of the reasons why people sort of hate John Cena, maybe or Blandy Borton, as they call him. And it's because we've never really seen that before in our generation. We had our Bruno Sammartinos, we had our Fabulous Moolahs back in the day. But even then, they would wrestle a few far in between for something for longevity's sake. But now it's just so different. But it is going to be interesting to see now that, you know, Seth Rollins really is the leader of this new generation. That maybe Dolph Ziggler's kind of a part of it, even though Dolph Ziggler's kind of in the old Raw, if you really think about it. So it's interesting, as you mentioned, Ryan, like Kofi is the oldest guy there. But even Kofi, think where he came up from, like the WWE ECW, and then having his feud with Randy. Time goes by, guys. Time goes by. That flashback thing with Carlito and all that back in 2005. Like we would talk during that.
Oh, did I feel old? Oh my God, did I feel old?
And now look, it feels like ages ago.
Because it was.
Yeah, it was. So, ladies and gentlemen, getting to a couple of announcements. We've been a pretty positive podcast, so let's start off with the worst one. We're done. This is the last episode. Thanks for tuning. Something happened this weekend, unfortunately, with my computer, my data hard drive. That's the one that basically contains all the Byte that, all the Fight Night footage. Started to give me an error. Now, I was able to access it and back up some stuff, but I have lost something. So for those listening to the podcast, you're not going to really feel any changes, but we are going to have to delay Fight Night and a couple of things until I can get that sorted out. I have some backups, but you can only back up so much when it's like 3 terabytes worth of data at this point. Byte that has a lot of stuff happening. So we'll keep you posted on Twitter Byte That Cast, as I get my new hard drive and delve into the journey of transferring everything back.
We'll get through this together, folks. We'll get through it together.
We will. Something happening this Thursday, game related. A new part for Ryan's Stevie Richards season mode is occurring. Now we're getting to the point where Stevie's getting a little bit too good. It's almost like, come on, Stevie, learn to suck again. Because first it was like an obstacle, but Ryan, are you looking forward to Stevie's career at this point, or is he starting to just become stale and you're going to turn on him?
You know, I don't know, because Stevie's getting a little too good, and I'm worried that, the crowd's going to get tired of him. If we start getting Stevie wins lol and let's go Stevie sucks, I think we're in for a world of trouble, but you're going to have to see how that develops.
Indeed.
Yeah, and when it comes to streams, 2 things. Keith will be streaming this Thursday over at twitch.tv/bythat, playing some 2K16 plus other shedizdigs over on the channel. And then this Saturday, I will be playing for a couple of hours, 12 hours, as a matter of fact, from 4 a.m. till 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be playing as part of Extra Life Puerto Rico. I am part of the team. My wife will also be playing over at her channel, Press Pause TV. She'll be playing from 4 p.m. till 4 a.m. And then Sunday's her birthday, so we're going to be 24 hours gaming, and then it's like, happy birthday. We need sleep right now. But yeah, I'm going to be playing 2K16 and a ton of other stuff. So
come join. It's all for a good cause. I'll probably show up whenever I decide to wake up Saturday morning. It'll be a hoot.
Yeah, I am playing for children that suffer from cancer, a variety of other disorders here in Puerto Rico, the San Jorge Children's Foundation. If you guys want any more details about that, once again, follow us on Twitter, and any donation counts. Anything from $1 on, it can really help save a child's life. We've raised over almost $20,000 in Puerto Rico. That's our goal. We're at $18,000, so we're almost there. I've raised around $141.
Impressive, Obi-Wan.
Yes. Now, Ryan, notice how I left one thing in that agenda. There's number 2.
Oh, it's gonna be so good. I'm so
Let
excited.
me just stretch out here. Keith, like, I forget. I can't read. Like, what am I supposed to talk about now that Ryan doesn't like?
Well,
What is it?
I sanctioned me. I did it. You can blame this on me. I sanctioned a best of 5. What would we call a best of 5?
Best
series.
of 5.
Series. That's the
WWE
word I'm looking
2K14
for.
online server extravaganza offline.
To give the WWE 2K14 servers the farewell it deserved. You can check that video out at youtube.com/ByteThatCast. You guys had a hell of a series, but one of you lost. See, that's the thing about life,
That's
Ryan.
you, Ryan.
There
You
are
lost.
winners and there are losers. You, sir, came out on the losing end.
Are you cutting the Paige promo on me right now?
Somewhat. Which means, though, you lost.
This is your house?
This is my house. I don't have to
All right, can we just
seat
cut to the
15,000
chase?
people.
All right,
Yes,
we've got
cut to the
valuable
chase.
pod-
You
podcast
have to
time.
sing. You have to sing a song of Juan's choosing as the punishment for losing. Juan, what is that song?
I don't know. Let me take a selfie. Let's see here. Wait a minute. Could it be that you may have to sing Tyler Breeze's theme, Ryan, in full for the channel on video? You're gonna have to do that, Ryan.
Oh,
you are
I
going
had
to
a
sing
feeling it was gonna be that
gorgeous. We, Keith and I, a little behind the scenes here. We had multiple meetings, scouring through everything that people recommended. There were some doozies in there, but I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. So, Mr.
Could have been a
McNulty,
lot worse. You for a while there, you were gonna sing Jillian Hall's theme.
yeah,
Wow.
or American Male's theme.
Yeah.
I'm actually okay with this. Of all the songs to sing, I gotta learn the words and everything, but it could have been worse. So I'll get on that.
So Ryan, you got 90 days. Godspeed, sir.
I have 90 days.
90 days.
Not 90. What? No, way less than that. We'll talk about that offline and reveal when that's going to be happening.
I was going to be
within
somewhat
the next,
considered.
within the next couple weeks. So
There we
it
go.
won't be that long.
That being said, people, thanks for all the feedback regarding the best of 5. It was a one-shot thing we did, but apparently it seems like we may have to do that every once in a while. Kind of like our own Kenny versus Spenny, if you will, minus all the human torture happening.
Oh no,
Okay.
that's the best part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so continuing our conversation with wrestling, let's talk some WWE Network. Last week we saw the debut of a brand new series, Breaking Ground. I watched it. I loved it. I know most of us have had the chance to watch it. There's a new episode that will be airing every night after Raw. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't watch the second episode. I had a day off from work, tried to watch it on my PS4. It kept showing previously on Breaking Ground. Can't talk
We're gonna say Breaking
Ground. And then it got to the end. So thank you, Network, for glitching. I know
Because who
some
needs
of us
to
have
watch
watched
the
it.
actual show? You got the intro,
Right,
you got
yeah.
the end. Just imagine
Exactly, I
everything
got the gist
that's
of
in
it. So
between.
what does it matter? So what do you guys think of the show overall? Some of us have watched clips, some full episodes.
Breaking Ground is awesome, and I think Breaking Ground should have been what Tough Enough is, or vice versa, whichever one makes more sense. Basically, they should have called Tough Enough Breaking Ground or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say?
Exists now.
It's a great show. It's a very, very interesting look at the Performance Center, and a really cool, it makes you realize that, hey, there's so much going on beyond who you see on NXT. There's so many more people there, and they have to bust their derrieres just for that little bit of a shot, and I love it. I think Breaking Ground is great.
Yeah, so far I've only seen clips. I haven't watched it yet because I'm a horrible human being, and the other my two co-hosts will fully endorse that. But I did see
Absolutely.
the clip of William Regal chewing people out, and it was great. And it does seem like it is basically what people wanted for a behind the scenes of NXT. And from what I've heard from other people, you really get an interesting side of people like Baron Corbin, who might be kind of a different person behind the scenes. So I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to your review next week here on the podcast.
I'm watching it tonight, so I'll be ready.
All right. Sounds good, man. No, I think it's a great balance between what Total Divas is and this. Because Tough Enough, let's face facts, it's not something that you can show to somebody that doesn't like wrestling. Like, they're not going to magically like wrestling if they watch Tough Enough, right? But with Breaking Ground, you can show that to somebody that's like, wrestling's fake? Okay, cool. Hit play, watch that, and then tell me how fake it is. It's predetermined, but look at all the work that goes into it.
And plus, they don't pull any punches in that show. Like in the second episode...
Any spoilers going to be happening?
Yeah, I guess this will be a couple of spoilers. So if you haven't watched Breaking Ground,
5,
maybe...
4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we gave you 5 seconds, so go. So
they highlight ZZ a lot in this second episode of Breaking Ground, and kind of the challenges that he had and how he's just not really cut out for the whole thing. And you get to see like this, there's this really weird shot where in the same orientation, there's ZZ and Asuka. So you really get to see how different like everybody at the performance center is, and how did you really just take everybody at a bunch of different levels. And like Ryan mentioned, they spent a lot of time on William Regal teaching people, and my lord, does William Regal get mad at one point. But it's a really interesting look into the performance center. Yeah, they even let somebody go during the show. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's somebody that actually came up on the news stories. I believe it was a week ago that we covered it. Devin Taylor, the NXT announcer.
Yeah, I had heard about that.
Yeah, so it's not much of a spoiler because we already discussed it here on the show, but it shows you how real Breaking Ground is, as opposed to some things in Tough Enough. That maybe some things are still scripted, but I like that WWE has this flexibility because unlike Total Divas is on the E! Network, so they have to appeal to an outside audience. And here, it's people that already consume the network, so they probably have less pressure as to, well, we should make some bullcrap storyline just to make people want to tune in next week.
Yeah, a lot of people have actually compared it to NFL does a thing called Hard Knocks, which is basically the preseason or like training camp or whatever going into the season. They'll spend time with just one football team, and you see a lot of like these guys who are like on, practice squad or just, whether they make the team or not. You also see stuff with the main starter guys that are going to be there, but like they'll show like people getting cut and stuff like that. So I think WWE was trying to emulate a lot of that, just kind of that stuff that you don't normally see behind the scenes.
It's really cool.
No, it definitely is. And remember, once again, it's going to be happening every Monday after Raw. Add this to Table for Three, which the latest one is about NXT, featuring Neville, Bo Dallas, and Samoa Joe. Definitely give that a look also. Just great stuff happening on the network. So eventually we may have to do some SRTs or something, because like it's getting to the point where we can't cover the network alone in a podcast, which is great. Because for $9.99, that's a pretty good deal happening.
I finally feel good about spending that money on the network, and I actually feel like there's some solid value there beyond the pay-per-view.
It's good you still have that mindset, because in my mind, it's like it's just already just taken from my account and I don't even think about it.
Yeah, same. I forget that I pay for it.
Which is bad, because like I don't think, hey, am I not getting value from this or something like that? I just accept it, and that's exactly what WWE wants from me.
It's taken enough out of my Netflix time chunk, so that I think that's an indication of how good the network has really become.
I should have been WWE Network and chill for Halloween, I guess.
Hey, there's always next year.
It's true. Nobody will get it, but
I mean, it is better than Netflix, right? So you would have had
it's
better
costume.
costume.
Than Netflix. I'll tell everybody at the party that, and they'll all believe me.
Good luck with that.
And you'll go home to Rosie and her 5 sisters.
Anyway, let's talk about some WWE 2K16 for just a couple of minutes. I'll be talking about it more, I guess, on Saturday stream. And Keith, you can maybe bring some stuff up on your stream.
Of course.
But just any general updates on your experience with the game? Ryan has yet to play it, so we're going to keep putting pressure on Ryan in the podcast. It's live, people. I'm going to do it. I don't care if I get heat. So, Keith, what about you?
I don't have a PS4, but I have a roommate that has one. So
Steal it.
I am going to buy it. It'll be harder for me to stream, though. I'm going to be honest with you.
Don't worry about it.
That's okay. But yeah, no, I'm still overall enjoying 2K16. I am getting a bit of that feel like, hey, the honeymoon's over. The rose-colored glasses are coming off a bit, and I am finding some flaws that I'm not a big fan of. Like, a week and a half later, or a week later, I can say that the submission system is basically the worst thing I've ever seen in a wrestling video game. I hate it.
Yeah, I agree.
There's nothing redeemable about it. There's just no way that it is a good idea, and it's hard to get past it. The fact that I can lose a match with just like a headlock because the minigame isn't working properly or whatever.
Can you briefly explain, just so I have a good idea of how it works? Because I've seen the meters and stuff, and I couldn't really make too much sense of it.
Okay, so the pin meter and the submission meter are similar. With the pin one, it's similar to last year where, you have to press X at a certain point, but it will change accordingly. But that is actually great, the way the pin works. With the submission, it's a circle, and then there's a blue bar and a red bar. And basically, the person that has the submission hold has to try to overwhelm the other person's bar. And if they do that for a certain amount of time,
it's not even just overwhelm, it's be in the bar.
Yeah, be in the bar. So it's like it just overlaps. The problem is, and here's two examples. I was playing different matches today. Some were offline, some were online. I played as Kalisto taking on Brock Lesnar, and I'm beating the crap out of Brock Lesnar, right? He gets one Kimura lock in. He's barely touched me, and I tap out. I was in the submission bar for like 3 seconds and I tapped out, which in real life that may happen. But I was thinking to myself, is there an option where I could have avoided that? I started looking for things online and everybody's like, yeah, if you go into the submission move, you're going to tap out. Another example that was in my favor, I played as Cesaro. He has the sharpshooter as one of the finishers, took on somebody online that was using Seth Rollins. I got him in the sharpshooter. He tapped out in 2 seconds. I timed it in 2 seconds. I didn't even have time to actually try to fight him into making him submit. It just sort of got there. I guess he was hesitant about hiding, so he accidentally moved his thing towards mine, and he basically made himself lose.
Wow.
So when somebody can do that, that's a huge issue.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to move yourself in a way that makes you more vulnerable to tap out. Every effort you make should
be working against the submission. Yeah,
that seems bad, and I'm sure people online are abusing the crap out of that right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a couple of people did use it online against me. Luckily, I've been able to somewhat figure out how to avoid it. The pin system's great, and even online, because for those that are worrying for next generation or current gen PS4, Xbox One, the pin system and the submission system are local. So there could be a delay online, which there's not much to of. I played some single player matches, but the pin system happens locally and it sends the information online. So when you press X, it's going to be at the right point where you're doing it. So you won't feel like a weird delay when that happens. But overall, online is really good. There are no options for entrances or exits, so you just go into a match. It's kind of cool, though, that when you're waiting for a match, it'll put you in a training place. So you just do stuff, and you get some points. You level up. I'm like level 7 or 8 right now, something like that. But yeah, it's a good time, and the creations are ridiculous. People are uploading all sorts of great stuff. I downloaded a great Mario. Basically, the whole roster's up to date.
Well, there is some really cool stuff being uploaded. I'm actually not a big fan of the creation tools themselves. There are some long, unnecessary loading times in some part of the creation tools, especially like when you're choosing somebody's hair and that kind of stuff. And one little thing that bugs the crap out of me are the entrance tools and how there's no transitions
I was about to mention that. From what I saw of entrances like you guys have been doing and stuff, like how do you miss that, man?
Such an oversight.
Because it discourages.
They did the same exact thing in 2K15 too, though.
Mm-hmm. For context, for those listening, in 2K14, if you create your own entrance and the animations are different, they'll cut to the crowd for a couple of seconds, so it doesn't seem off. For 2K15, they removed that, So it was awkward. So like my guy has Emma for one thing, Kalisto for the other one. So he just magically jumps in time and does that. And it even gets annoying when you're in my career and you're interfering in your entrance. Somebody's interfering, because then you're like going all over the place and they can't get to you because you keep spawning different to different areas.
Yeah, it's very unnecessarily clunky, and I'm not a big fan of it.
But overall, I will say though, great. Like all the online matches I had, out of 5 or 6, I lost like 3, and I had a great time in all of them. It was back and forth. That being said, all of the matches are definitely way longer than in the past. Like just a regular one-on-one match will almost always be that 5-star. Like, what, he kicked out? Like, oh my god! Like, what does he have to do now? Because you do have to strategize. Once you get that down, the matches become shorter. So just my advice, 2K16, if you've not played it for Next Generation, don't play it as a wrestling game. Play it as a fighting game. And then
Absolutely.
You will slowly figure out the different ways. Like I played against somebody that was using the old online thing where run, grapple, and the guy lost to me really quickly because he could just not adapt to the changes in the game, which was good for me because then I got the win.
Exactly, and I know I said a lot of negative things, but overall I am still enjoying the game a lot. Like Juan mentioned, I think the gameplay is some of the best it's ever been. I think the reversal thing is the smartest thing they've done.
Yes.
Basically since they started making wrestling games. It's so good, and it just adds this whole element to a match. And yeah, to a little tip that I would like to throw out for the gameplay aspect is just play your guy. You're not just playing like a wrestling game. Like if you're going to play a super heavyweight, play like a super heavyweight. Don't run around the ring, be methodical, hit your big moves. But if you're playing as a small guy, then yeah, go wild. Really play to the strengths and weaknesses of the person you are playing as. And it's an incredible experience.
And if you play either of these schmucks online, make sure to put them in a submission move because they'll tap out immediately.
We're going to have to do Byte That versus the World and see how that happens. I'm afraid I'll lose every match.
Yeah, you and me both.
But yeah, we're going to have plenty of time to talk about 2K16 in our respective Twitch streams over at twitch.tv/ByteThat. So let's get to some listener questions. Mr. Poshik, take it away.
Alrighty, and if you want to send us a question, you can do so. Send it to our Twitter, our YouTube, our Facebook, our email, our Wrestling Amino, or, just stop us in the street and say, hey, I got a question for the show.
Write it down.
But don't do that, because I probably won't remember it for the podcast. But if you want to send them in any of those other ways, you can send them to ByteThatCast or ByteThatCast@gmail.com. Much like Mr. Jack L did with our first question of the show, he says, hey guys, it's me. My question is, what would your guys' finisher be if you were a pro wrestler? And by the way, he always enjoys the podcast and streams, so thank you, sir. So yeah, what would your finishers be?
A finisher that I probably couldn't do to anyone at this point in time, but it's always been a really cool move, is the Truth or Consequences. Basically a suplex into a stunner. I generally give my characters that move in the game. I think our Truth probably should have used it as a finisher because it looks way better than his scissor kick thing.
Yeah. For me, it would actually have to be the stunner. Just because, and not to copy you out or something, Ryan, but I love the simplicity of it. The fact that you can just go into a ring, it doesn't matter how big or small the guy is, you can just stun the crap out of them and do that. Otherwise, one of my creative moves as a kid, just playing with action figures that I wanted to do, is a springboard moonsault powerbomb off the second rope. So you have the guy in a powerbomb position, you springboard from the second rope, and you moonsault back and powerbomb the guy. That's always been my dream. Probably impossible. What? Okay, so you have the guy in a powerbomb position, right?
Okay.
Now think that you're about to do a lion
Like he's on the power bomb.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a springboard C4.
Oh, yeah.
But like on top.
Yeah.
Somebody would die, man.
Yeah. You would
I would look
shatter.
so awesome doing it.
Shatter all of
So
the
like
necks.
you're doing like a last ride type of thing where you're walking
last
with the
ride
power
lion
bomb
salt.
and you just run up into a moonsault. Yeah, that would not work out well. I don't think.
No.
So I'll stick to
Someone
the
would
stunner.
try that in backyard wrestling and die, basically.
I'm sure
They
it's already
probably
happened.
have, yeah.
Little one, there are some problems with your logic. But for myself, it's a cutter. No question. I've always been a big fan of cutters, probably more of like a diamond cutter than an RKO, but I think the cutter is a cool ass move. So thank you for the question, Mr. Jack L. Our next one comes in from Cody Collier, who asks, since this Friday marks a year since Finn Balor debuted on WWE NXT, what do you think his best match has been so far, and why? And man, what a year. It's been a year.
Yeah, quite the year for him. I would say it would have to be the ladder match with Kevin Owens. It was a great match. I will still say, I've yet to see a match with Finn Balor that I have loved. I have enjoyed many of his matches, but I've never just gone like, I need to rewatch that. I've rewatched multiple Sasha Banks matches, multiple matches for other people in NXT. Finn Balor, I enjoy him, but I that sounds weird, but yeah, there's something there that just the words.
Agreed.
Words.
I'm going to cut in the line just because I agree with you, Juan, where I think that is his best match. And yeah, Finn Balor is a very, very solid wrestler, but there's nothing really special about his wrestling. There's not that one thing that sticks out, like in I would say either a positive or a negative way, but he's very solid. He's one of the best in the ring, but there's just not that it factor. And oh man, is he a sexy man.
I'm actually going to go with still Kevin Owens, but I'm going to go with the Beast in the East match because the special with the ladder match, I don't know. I was so into the Bayley Sasha Banks match that I almost remember nothing from the ladder match.
Yeah.
But I did actually remember enjoying the match at Beast in the East with Kevin Owens, where Balor won the title. Other than that, you know, everyone knows I'm a terrible person and haven't watched a ton of NXT during the past year, so I've really only seen the specials. And yeah, the Beast in the East one is the only one that really kind of stood out to me.
Indeed. Well, we look forward to your review on NXT in the near future. But our next question comes in from NKBE1324, who asks, so far, what has been the best pay-per-view of 2015, excluding WrestleMania?
Is anyone else having trouble remembering what good matches were on what card?
Well, I've got one. I've got a choice, so I'll go first. And I'm going to say Fastlane in February. It had Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. Cena Rusev, the one that, whatchamacallit, that ended.
Yeah, where Cena didn't tap. He like passed out or something like that. Yeah.
And it was just like a really solid card. There's been a lot of very good cards this year, and I think that one, it's a step above as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, if we can't count WrestleMania, because WrestleMania was pretty damn good this year.
Yeah.
Fastlane definitely stands out. I'm really drawing a blank. I'm a horrible human being this week.
Well, I mean, my legitimate answer would be NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. I don't know if that counts.
It's a WWE pay-per-view. Absolutely.
Yeah, because the other pay-per-views, they've had a lot of great matches, but the only shows that I feel emotionally attached to are the NXT TakeOver shows.
What about whichever one had the first Cena Owens match? Was that
Money in the Bank?
Money in the Bank or Extreme Rules?
Wasn't Money in the Bank the second one? I believe Elimination Chamber. Elimination Chamber, I believe it was.
Yes, because Owens won.
Oh, it was Elimination Chamber. That's right.
That was a great match.
But I don't know if I'd call
show.
the whole pay-per-view great, because that had one of like the weirdest Elimination Chamber matches ever.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to agree with Keith then, Fastlane, because there's been a lot of like cards that were like good but not great.
Exactly. Like everyone, there's been some very solid matches on every pay-per-view, but everyone just kind of has that match.
Yeah, and the only card I can think of that had a match that really kind of blew me away was the first Cena Owens, but I think the rest of the card was kind of
Truth. And for the most part, those matches have been the Ziggler and Rusev feud. So I guess thanks for ruining 2015, Ziggler and Rusev.
Poor guys.
Hashtag save Dog Ziggler.
Indeed. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes from J4 Gaming. No longer J Gore Gaming, guys. October's over.
He recognizes Halloween's over.
Indeed. So he asks,
topical.
how much salad is too much salad.
I love salad, especially if it has spinach. I don't think there's a thing as too much salad. I will never toss salad. I'm just not a huge fan of that. But I do like consuming salads. I had one from Wendy's the other day, which I Twitch streamed, which I posted on Instagram. See, I'm laughing because you guys. I said
well, now
serious.
I'm laughing because Keith is doing the zipping his mouth thing, as in, I'm not going to make a horrible comment that's going to horrify everybody on this podcast. We're past Halloween. We're past Halloween. No horrifying anybody.
Indeed.
Yeah, okay. So my real thing is I used to hate salads. I love them. I had a Mexican salad last week with some chili, and it was great. So never enough. Plus, it's good for you. It makes you go to the bathroom a lot.
All right. Well, I think there can be too much salad, certainly. But I definitely enjoy salad, especially Caesar salad. But a little note out there. If you go to like a place like Chili's and you think you're being healthy by getting the salad, some of those things have like 2,000 calories in them. So just get the burger, all right? Treat yourself. Don't waste your time with the salad that's just going to destroy your insides anyway.
Agreed.
Yeah, so if you're going to get a salad, try and, like, get something that doesn't have, like, buffalo chicken in it, because it's probably not doing you any favors.
If you need to go get salads at a fast food, go to Wendy's and get the medium-sized ones. They're around 400 to 500 calories, don't have a ton of sodium, and, like, compared to other places, looking at you, McDonald's, it's simply way better. We need to do a health podcast.
You know what? Those like wedge salad things, those are just bull, man. What is it?
Wedge salads.
It's called like a wedge salad, I think, where it's just literally like a wedge of iceberg lettuce that they just slap on a plate. It's garbage, all right?
What?
That sounds stupid.
It's terrible. It's, I don't know, when a restaurant's lazy. I think that's what it's called. I could be wrong, but you know what?
I need to look that up.
Indeed. And as far as I'm concerned, there isn't such thing as too much salad. What there is such thing as too much salad dressing. You can completely ruin a good thing with too much dressing, where it becomes all soggy and gross. Your croutons lose their crispness because they're just drowning in this
soggy
mess.
Croutons are the worst.
Soggy croutons are the worst, but yes. And if you're going to enjoy a salad, if you want to like go a little bit on the unhealthy side, bacon bits are the answer, folks. Put all of the bacon bits on there.
And you know, a salad bar is great because then you just build it yourself and just the way you want it.
Agreed.
That's what I used to do for lunch until I decided to eat horribly.
How's that working out?
I'm starting to get back on the wagon of eating healthy again.
Mm-hmm.
Today I haven't gotten a salad in a while.
Today I personally jumped off the wagon and ate 6 tacos for lunch.
Oh,
it was
soft or hard?
50-50.
Off the wagon and onto the toilet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's after the podcast. But thank you for the question, Mr. J4 Gaming. Our next one comes in from PW Ivor, who asks, "Hello to you." Why, hello, sir. Do you like photography, animals, or helping others? If so, which of them do you like?
Now, this seems like a spam question, but we threw it into here anyway because
no
it seems,
question is off limits.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we just...
Where was this from? Was this a Ask BT and maybe they were asking that sports guy?
It was like a DM, I think.
This was a
Twitter.
DM on Twitter.
So probably a spam. Otherwise, good question. We just talked about salad for 5 minutes, so really anything's on the line. Photography... I did learn how to do manual photography developing, so like black and white. So I've dealt with like analog cameras and like the chemicals and all that. Animals, we sort of have 3 dogs, which we love at Nicole's parents' house. Ryan has a odd relationship with one of them named Chispy. So Ryan, can you talk about that experience a little bit?
I might have to step in here and say we're not going to talk about that on this podcast.
Let me just say that whatever happened was perfectly within the confines of the law, and nothing questionable will ever happen.
Okay.
Because you guys are making it sound like pretty bad when, I don't know. I just wanted to meet, when I was down in Puerto Rico, I wanted to meet Nicole's dogs.
You're talking about...
I like animals. And then, he goes off with his friends, and they go outside, and they have themselves a little humping sesh right in front of the door.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my welcoming to them. So all right,
Ryan McNulty,
right,
you are beta as F.
All right, I'm just gonna take over this question. Juan, you clearly like helping others. You're doing a charity thing this weekend, so
Yes.
good on you, mate. All right, as far as photography, okay, photography is all good and great, but hashtag hot sports take. There's so many people out there that, you know, they buy one of those, like, what is it called, DSLR cameras or something.
Yeah.
And, you know, they buy that thing and everybody thinks they're this amazing photographer just because they can buy one of those cameras and take pictures of a flower and be like, ooh. So I feel bad for the real photographers out there because there's a lot of imposters.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway.
guys, who needs to be a photographer when you have Instagram filters?
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a sad truth that too many people rely on that.
Yeah. Anyway, animals. I like animals, despite things that have happened. No, I love animals. I've always wanted like a dog or something, but I've never lived in a place
Sure
where I
you
could
did.
have one. Yeah. And helping others, I should do it more. I'm a terrible person once again.
Yeah, you are. So yeah, animals. I'm a cat person personally. I've had a cat most of my life.
Boo. Hashtag team dog. Hashtag Don Ziggler.
Hashtag team go fly a kite. Photography, I have never been a fan of it. I don't know. I guess pictures are just something that's never really clicked with me. And helping others, I do what I can. You know. I don't really help others very much. I'm a terrible person. You and me, Ryan. You and me, buddy.
Yep.
I am the exception to the rule.
I'm going to hang out with
Yes.
you on Saturday. That's my quota.
All right. I'm
gonna
not saying
do-
anything.
I'm going to do my good
Why are you
this
guys
week.
so defensive?
Oh, well, you know what I do want to do? And this
because
will
it's
help
something to be
others.
super defensive about.
This is something I do want to do to help others, and maybe I can spread the word here because I've been talking to my roommates about this. All right. I want to start a petition to ban car traffic noises and sirens from radio commercials. Because
You know, I can speak
think-
with a bit of authority
Whoa,
on this.
Be careful
Yes.
here.
It's actually super illegal. Because this is actually a discussion I had recently. It's super illegal. And if you do hear something like that, you can report it and get it
well, I
taken
don't know
care
if
of.
radio,
Canada
by the
is
way.
different, but I hear it in Massachusetts quite often, and it like freaked me out this Friday when there was like a honking or whatever in a commercial.
Yeah, for
'cause I
that
thought,
exact reason, like if somebody has a police siren in a commercial, you being a responsible driver think like, oh, there's probably a police officer around me, I should get out of the way, and because of that, it creates an unsafe driving environment and is actually
Exactly.
quite illegal.
So I don't know if it's. I have to look up and see if it is a thing in Massachusetts, but I've heard it in commercials as early as last week. So I might start a petition, and that will help people. We might prevent some accidents, save some lives, and stop these idiots making these commercials. Even though I'm in marketing, I am going against some of you marketers out there. You're on notice.
Ryan, you're marking yourself.
I
Careful.
know.
Indeed. So thank you for the question, sir. Our final
So
question.
much wrestling talk.
I know, right? Kind of went off the rails, but don't you worry because this last question is going to put us right back on that train. We're going to run a train through this last question, and it comes from
Choo choo.
me. I've got the last question of the show.
Oh,
I'm going to put myself over here a little bit.
where from?
What?
From at the Mackenzie Experience.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Hey, you aren't supposed to tell people about my private Twitter handle, but nonetheless, I ask. So I've been going back recently, and
That's not how you start a question, but go ahead.
a little bit of context here. So go fly a kite, Ryan. I've been going back recently on YouTube and watching some old clips from TNA, back from like when I would watch TNA in the like 2008-ish era. And I came to the conclusion that there was some really good things in TNA. There were some great things that happened in TNA. but they all kind of ended the exact same way, and that was with a sad little whimper, to say it politely. So my question to you folks at the Byte That podcast, what is your favorite angle in TNA that just got TNA-ified, and like something that had all the potential in the world and just ended like a fart in church? Just, you were so disappointed. Would you like me to start?
Yes.
I have a couple of options. So yeah, go ahead first.
Okay, so mine, the thing that I was specifically watching that just bums me out to think back at is the whole Aces and Eights storyline. I was just so good. It was this long build-up with the whole Bully Ray being the president. AJ Styles doing this whole, we're not sure if he's going to turn heel or not. They changed his persona, and it was actually kind of badass, especially his theme. I think his theme during that time is one of the greatest in wrestling history. And it just, oh, hey, here's the main event Mafia, and it kind of ends. It ends really crappily. They had such a cool thing going, and then it just, poof, gone.
For me, the answer has to be the moment Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff got into the company, because it may not be an angle, but if there was ever a point where you're like, this is make or break, I think it was with that. I've spoken that, and I mentioned that Eric Bischoff is one of my favorite general managers on Raw of all time, and one of my favorite wrestling personalities, period. Just on screen, not talking about behind the scenes. And you have these two guys in the company, and they did nothing with that. And that is literally when I just stopped watching. They went from, they just changed the 6-sided ring into a 4-sided ring. And that first pay-per-view, the whole show, people were just chanting, we want 6 sides, we want 6 sides. And from that point on, I think it really just started to go downward really hard. And another specific thing, I guess, would be similar to what you said, when AJ Styles was sort of the darker character for a multitude of weeks. One week he comes out, he's still in the character, flips the hood, he's back to being normal AJ Styles, his old theme plays, and it's like, hey, these past couple of months never happened.
Yeah, they were worthless.
Yeah, and then I just stopped again. I've stopped watching TNA multiple times.
You know, it's sad that I can't even, I was watching TNA, 2004-ish to 2006, maybe, during that time, and I literally just had to stop because I spent the entire time just questioning what I was watching. Like, almost every segment, I was like, this makes no sense, this is stupid. And the sad thing is, I literally can't think of, any stories I watched during that time. I can't remember a single feud aside from Jeff Jarrett and Christian Cage, and maybe Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and AJ Styles. Those are the only feuds I can even remember.
You hated Jeff Jarrett.
I did not like Jeff Jarrett at all. But who I hate the most is Mike Tenay. I cannot stand that man. But yeah, I literally cannot think of any. I can just remember Killer spelled backwards. Relic is Killer spelled backwards. And just,
what
before
about great
the
things
WWE
like
commentary,
Judas Messias?
Yeah, before the WWE commentary team was shouting things at you and making you feel like an idiot, TNA was doing that way before them. So they were the innovators of insulting intelligence. Okay.
Indeed.
Make that into a shirt.
Indeed. And just a couple other ones that I went back and watched
Dreamer's
that really bummed me out were, just to name a few. Oh, God.
It's literally killing him right now.
It's literally killing me to talk about this. I can make it. But the Samoa Joe Kurt Angle thing, I went back and watched that, bummed me out. LAX, they had some really cool stuff with that, and then it just kind of whimpered out.
Yeah, the original LAX was really badass.
So good. So
amazing.
Good. Remember Prince AJ, guys? Wasn't that great?
AJ Styles and Abyss just took two really hard hits, because whenever they got involved with WWE guys, like AJ Styles was Prince AJ with Ric Flair, and then Abyss had the whole Hall of Fame ring thing with Hulk Hogan, which was just insulting, is an understatement. It's almost like they took some of TNA's biggest guys, built from the ground up, and just made a mockery of them. So it's understandable
Absolutely.
why AJ left. AJ's been doing great ever since then. Abyss is just in there. I mean, he had the Joseph Park thing, which, okay, let's put it this way. I think I know my official answer. It's not a storyline. TNA, for everything we complain about WWE, has the tendency to overrun storylines past the point where people care. Joseph Park, people thought at some point, okay, this is going to run out. It's like months later. Can we end this months later? Please end it. I don't care. Can we just have Abyss back? And it kept going.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't there like a Claire Lynch thing too?
Claire Lynch.
Yeah.
It was a whole nother thing.
See, I don't think I watched the real worst of it. I guess what I was watching, it was still like considered somewhat good at that time. All this other stuff is just stuff I read about.
Hulk Hogan killed TNA.
Pretty much.
Hulk Hogan didn't want to kill TNA, so TNA killed Hulk Hogan.
Except the
Except
opposite.
that makes no sense.
Yeah, kind of.
Indeed.
Yeah, just to explain why it made no sense there is, before Hulk Hogan actually came into TNA, he did a thing.
Japan thing.
Like, they were going to do something with him in Japan, and maybe it was supposed to be more than it was, but it's just like a press conference. And Jeff Jarrett always bragged about that he beat up Hulk Hogan. And they played that clip forever because it was the only footage they had of Hulk Hogan. And Jeff Jarrett was always like, Hulk Hogan didn't want to come to TNA, so we brought TNA to Hulk Hogan. And they aired that a million times to be like, look how awesome we are. We had Hulk Hogan for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Good times, Keith. We've
Remember
gone
when they
down a dark path.
You know, I just wanted to bring up TNA. I've been going back and watching it a lot. Like when they ruined the Highlander's career. Remember that?
Wow, yeah, on the pay-per-view. And he looked so happy to be there on camera.
Absolutely. So yeah, nice little happy detour down memory lane. So speaking of ending shows,
Ryan,
I think we should do that.
That's right. All right.
More
well,
hype, more.
We want to thank everyone. We want to thank everyone for watching this amazing episode of the
Don't
Byte
cry.
That podcast.
You watched it with your ears.
God. Oh my god, yeah, I always say watched. It's for listening. Listen, hey, we got the YouTube video, which is on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Byte That Cast. What do we got coming up this Thursday? That's Stevie's story on Here Comes the Pain. Watch Stevie just become the greatest WWE superstar of all time and just wreck everyone in his path. It was a great time. And then, of course, this weekend there'll be a video up, right? I'm pretty sure. Of course, we're gonna have something up. Juan is also going to be streaming, and Keith, both guys streaming. Thursday, Keith is streaming some 2K16. Of course, Juan will be streaming for Extra Life, the 12-hour stream where he's gonna play 2K16 plus other games as well. I believe people will be able to choose.
Yeah, based on donations and all the things that are happening, you guys will have a choice to contribute as to what I play, but generally it's going to be 2K16, Metal Gear Solid 5, some Tony Hawk's Underground, going throwback with that on GameCube, some cool stuff happening, Left 4 Dead, and I may even dance with some Stepmania.
Ooh. Well, I have to sing, we know that, so that video will be coming soon, TM. So be on the lookout for that. You can, of course, check out our social media on Twitter at ByteThatCast, Facebook.com/ByteThatCast, Instagram Byte That, Wrestling Amino Byte That. For everything else, you can go to ByteThat.com. Guys, I got some homework to do. I got to watch some Breaking Ground, some NXT before Juan literally murders me.
Spam the crap out of him on Twitter, please. Every day until next week's
I'm going to be watching. I'm watching
Spam
it
him
tonight, so when you guys listen to this, I may have already watched it, so it could all be for naught, but I will let you know either way. Anyway, I've talked long enough. We've gone long enough. This might be the longest episode
are you listening?
of all time. So, thank you guys for listening once again. We will see you next week.
We're done.